Okay. It's a video on Abraham's lineage and how Abraham is chosen to survive a catastrophe. He is commanded by Enlil, Lord of Mesopotamia, to protect the sacred sites of Baalbek in Jerusalem. These he is protecting from the rebelling armies of the 5 cities around Sodom and Gomorrah, led by Marduk's adversaries, descendants of the Hamites that have crossed the king's highway in rebelling cities, which are fueled by Nabu, the son of Marduk. So these sacred sites belong in Enlilite territory, and they're to be protected. Abraham is commanded to leave Harran and to go forth into the land of Canaan to protect these sacred sites. And you remember in Salem is where he meets and receives the blessing of Melchizedek. And this area of Salem is protected by Utu, firstborn of Nanar Sin. So we'll begin. Kingship in the region is deteriorating. In Egypt, kingship is deteriorating. The pharaohs, the first, Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt, are in disarray. In Mesopotamia, Sumer, kingship is in disarray. And this is after Naram Sin, remember the grandson of Sargon, he tried to cross the sacred region of Sinai into the second region of Egypt. And by crossing a sacred land that was meant for the Anunnaki only, he committed a grave sin, a grave act, and because of that, the unified city of Akkad was destroyed. Kingship was removed and destroyed. Now in this time, kingship is shifting between different lands, from Uruk to Lagash to Kish, to different lands far and away. There is no settled king, and it's shifting between gods and men. Now, to bring order back, kingship is restored back to Ur, where the great heavenly object is planted. And the great heavenly object signifies kingship. And it's already situated here in Ur. This is a covenant between men and the gods, uniting heaven and earth. This is the temple of Nanar Sin, the Lord of Oracles. And he anoints a new king to rule. He becomes known as Ur-Nammu. And Ur-Nammu is righteous. He brings prosperity to the land. Rivers start to flow, trade starts to go forth again, and the land becomes abundant. This is a time when a transition is made. This is the beginning of the 3rd dynasty of Ur, the 3rd dynasty of Sumer. That the age of the bull is coming to an end, and the age of the ram is beginning. And a worthy and righteous man is to be chosen. He is Enlil, Lord of the Command. He becomes known as the Most High. He has a vision of a great catastrophe that's to occur. And the oracles in the temples of Ur, they predict that one is to be chosen to survive this catastrophe. The eyes are set upon Terah, who is a priest. He is high priest in the temple of Nippur. And Terah is the grandson of Arpachshad. Arpachshad descends from the line of Shem. And Arpachshad is the father of Sargon of Akkad, the builder and unifier of the city of Akkad. So kingship and priesthood is built into this line. Terah comes from a worthy lineage, and he's chosen to observe the celestial signs, to keep an eye on when the exact time the age of the bull ends and the age of the ram begins. In the observatories among the priesthood, he keeps an eye on these. Okay. So Terah is chosen. He is the high priest of Nippur. His son is Abram, the biblical Abraham. And Nanar, Lord of Or, is commanded to build a new sacred center in the northern regions. But before we do that, let me show you Nippur. This was the temple of Nippur, the sacred region, or what remains of it to this day. You may see the remains or the buildings of deep archaeological observatories. Calendars were observed here, but now rubble. Terah is sent from Nippur, and his eldest son Abram to be high priest in the northern regions of Harran. And this is the pilgrimage Terah's family makes from the land of Sumer or of the Chaldees to the northern regions of Harran to establish a city like Ur, which becomes a new temple and a new priesthood. And in the city of Ur, a temple to Nanar Sin is built. The calendar is observed, and observe this. Look at the remains of this sacred site, of the temple in Harran. Here they found remains of a huge altar, a remnant today of one of the oldest priesthoods and the roots of biblical history. This is where Abraham leaves to go into the land of Canaan, but he's studying the sacred texts here with his father in the priesthood, for he too descends from the line of Shem, a worthy and noble lineage. So as soon as Abraham leaves Haran to protect the sacred sites of Baalbek in Jerusalem along the Mediterranean coastline, this is when Marduk arrives. He arrives in the city of Harran, building an army among the Hittite warriors on the borders of Ishkor's domain of Ararat, on the borders of the garrisons to protect Lebanon. When Marduk arrives in Harran, he prepares for his final thrust into this region where he is to claim his sacred city of Babylon, establish his holy temple of the Esagil, to anoint a king. And the Enlilites, they are against him. And he prepares his final thrust. While he's in preparation for that, Abraham, who now is leaving Haran, he is entering into the promised land of Canaan. And here he is to protect Baalbek. He is to protect Jerusalem. And it's at this time, too, that the great king of Ur, or Namu, he dies by accident. He was a righteous king. He falls off his chariot. He dies. He has a son by the name of Shalgi, who becomes his successor. Shalgi is not like his father. As king of Uruk, he commits all kinds of atrocities. He anoints himself as the high priest of Nippur, whereas it previously belonged to Terra. Shalgi anoints himself. He enlists warriors. As king of Ur, he enlists warriors from the mountain lands. These regions of Iran and these mountainous regions that are not loyal to Nanarsin and his temple of Ur and the great ziggurats, nor are they loyal to his temple in Haran. Shalgi anoints these warriors, and he takes control of this region. But he also commits an atrocity. He crossed the sacred region reserved only for the gods and commits that great sin of defiling the sacred. He does not hold reverence for Jerusalem, nor does he hold reverence for the sacred precincts. So Shalgi too becomes annihilated. And this is just before Marduk, as Ra, is in preparation on the borders of this region, about to give his final thrust into the land to take Babylon and claim his holy temple of the Esagil. So Shalgi, he declares himself the lord of the four regions, and he loses. So we have it set here where Abraham is defending the territories of the towers from the rebelling cities. These rebelling cities are all loyal to Marduk as he prepares his final thrust. They're all under Marduk's domain. And this is what is meant in the Bible when they said the warring cities from the west and the warring cities from the east, they met on the battlefield. And they went to war. And fire and brimstone will reign in this war, as the Enlilites, they want to destroy the rebelling cities. So great weapons are going to be used, weapons of a great catastrophe, and they will destroy the rebelling cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, which are loyal to Marduk. The remains of that destruction we have here in the Dead Sea, the sea that does not give any life, as the dams were destroyed, and we have the valleys being filled with the ocean water. Now that stage is set, and we prepare for the next chapter, the Age of the Ram, as Marduk, he plans his thrust into the land and establishes a new world order, a new age.